um, blessed enough to be able to go out to Bungie to test an unreleased game that they're building, and in every game that I've played, right, when there's like they're building something where they're gonna have players in the same environment as NPCs, but you can always like the NPCs always have similar tendencies, and how to prioritize either not fighting NPCs or fighting them, et cetera, or like how to just kill them quickly. But oftentimes, depending on the game, like AI feel like the computer, whoever you're playing against, feels more annoying than playing real players because to your point, if AI gets so good to where it's like, a supercomputer in chess, I'm gonna be real, like I'm not Magnus Carlsen, so I don't want to sit there and like be destroyed by AI because it knows how to not make mistakes. I'd rather the AI, right? To your point, prioritize what would make someone want to keep playing. No, don't let me win, but like give me the inclination that I'm either very close to winning or very close to losing so that the adrenaline based on that is almost like replicating two players that have a similar skill level. So like for example, if you hop into you hop into a Counter-Strike match, you run up against players who are slightly better, slightly worse, but normally the big difference in most games is like who makes the mistakes first. Like who makes more mistakes first. And I feel like AI to this point has gotten the thought process is, oh, it needs to be perfect and it needs to be unflawed and it needs to like kind of align in a way that shows like, oh my God, it's almost as if you are like playing against God in a video game. When even I think AI is going to be much better if it can replicate the best imperfections of what makes playing video games possible. Because there's some games where you're playing the game and you get bad timing, and it's like, oh man, my timing was bad. It's like, well, I mean,
How does
you can
yeah.
look at it as like, oh, well, it's just bad timing, but obviously it's like you made one more mistake than the
They
next
try
guy.
to
But it's like
reimagine
that's a part of the game that
NPCs,
kind of
not
like gives you a sense of, oh man, this was like a dopamine hit. Like when you catch somebody on good timing, you're like, wow, my game sense is fucking amazing. So I hope that AI in games doesn't just become this thing of like AI is just like dialed up based on like how difficult you want someone to be, but more so I love a game to be able to have an AI that analyzes millions of matches played and mimics the things and the moments and the tension and the heightened pressure that gets players doing things. So like if you jump into a game, right, AJ, and you play, let's say you play 5 games in a row and then you quit. That last game you quit. Like there's a reason and rationale, and game developers think very deeply around what made that person stop playing. Was it, they just had to go? Maybe this is just the time of session that they stopped playing every day. Or was there a experience in the game that made you feel that the moment was a little bit less than, so you stopped playing out of pure frustration? And I feel like AI is going to be able to analyze that a lot better than the people trying to analyze it based on like the data in front of them in a room. So I'll throw it to Rich, but I feel like as a gamer, I definitely want to see AI kind of mirror imperfections that others have in the game. So when I'm fighting AI, right, it doesn't have to look like it's AI. It's the same thing with like Instagram, where now we're seeing so many like AI generated like Instagram accounts, and people are like, wait, it's just like Facebook filling up with these accounts, when it's like people just creating AI influencers, but they seem realistic.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I did. We had a demo a few months ago now with like In World, and I was incredibly blown away by kind of what they were showing off, which is essentially just to paint a picture. You're playing like this first person shooter. You have these AI agents that you're cooperatively playing the game with, and so they look down this corridor, and there's a cavern to the left where you can't really see what's going on, but you're talking to the NPC. You're like, tell me what's going on over there, and the NPC's like, you've got two bogeys, one at your six, one at your eight, and you get a little bit closer. And then you talk to the agent. You're like, okay, I see three bogeys. You take the one on the right. I'll take the one on the left. On my mark, and then you're like, mark, set, go, and then they both attack. So it's like that to me, like really opened my eyes in terms of like what AI agents in games can do beyond just being like an enemy. Where now and that's amazing for me because as a guy who works like 50, 60 hours a week, it's really hard to find people to play games with, when I'm off on the weekend. So like having like an AI agent that I can like go and play a game with, or squad up with some AI agents maybe that are at the same level of skill as I am, I think is transformative for me because I don't just have to play with a bunch of, 12-year-olds that are talking shit in a chat. So to me, I think that's super. I think that it's a really powerful like case for it. Just like bringing more immersion, more strategy to games specifically. But I also really love the idea of like these AI agents being able to like break that fourth wall. They're not just stuck in a game. They can also expand my game experience to be on social media. So maybe Grand Theft Auto, like you got a character that's in game, but they also are going to have a social media presence that I can engage with. So like that makes that world not just an in game, but anywhere that I'm at, that game I can participate or I can engage with them on social media every day. I kept like in real life questing. Um, so that was my take. I also think like beyond just AI agents, like what we're thinking of, like an Eliza or virtuals, there's so much more that AI agents help in game development. And one, I think, obvious case there where AI agents specifically help expedite the development of games is just in like character development. Like even with one of our teams that we work with on Market Wars, like they have to think about the script of every single thing, every single instance that a character is going to have with the user and script that out. And then they got to go and hire a person to do the voiceover and dial it in. And it takes an extensive amount of time. You think like an extensive amount of time, whereas now AI agent, really, you just like really, really dial in on what you want that persona to act like and how you want them to engage with the user. And then a lot of that dialogue just be divergent, which I think is going to speed up game development, especially probably in the indie development world. But yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that. I'll pass it back over to you, AJ.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, I have a younger cousin who's trying to become a professional gamer, and he was talking about using an AI agent as a training partner to help him get better. And it seems like this is going to be a popular trend soon, like an AI agent that is just better than you. And as you get better, the AI agent also grows with you, so you're never able to beat it, but you train with it. And he's like 15 years old, and he's already talking about this. And I'm like, this is pretty crazy. But I think the next generation of gamers is going to be so good because of this. But I'll throw it over to Jay and then KT.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing. I've already seen some tools that analyze your gameplay and offer you advice and strategy. So that's 100% already going to be a thing. And I just wanted to add on to what you just mentioned before, which is the ability for these things to go outside of games. And I think there's going to be a powerful component where it starts analyzing the community. And within each gaming community, there's a lot of culture that springs up, whether it's memes, the conversations they have, the things that they're looking at. And what I'd love to see going into the future is an AI bot that analyzes those conversations and say you and your friends are in some sort of crew, you're accomplishing a mission, and it says, all right, these guys like this meme. You know what? I'm going to use something like Midjourney to generate an asset. I'm going to give these guys their own sword that's particular to their guild. I'm going to use another software like Mesh.ai to create a 3D model of that. And then once they complete this quest, I'm going to reward them with a item that's specific to their guild or their community. So I love to see a point where it understands the context of the community and starts creating content towards that community live.
That is so cool. That is, I didn't even think about that, but honestly, that's amazing. I'll throw it over to you, KT.
Yeah, two things to build on all of that. So, one, having that AI based, um, I guess, squad partner or uh, group partner, whatever you want to call it, I think that's going to go a long way to increase the number of people who play games because I know that there's a lot of games where I've played and I get into it and I just don't understand the mechanic or something's a little off about something, and I quit and I stop. With these training partners, I think that there's going to be an increase in the number of people who play because they'll have this AI in game who can help them get through those pieces that they just may not understand. And to build on that, it also enables a whole separate mode of gameplay where people can jump into a game. Imagine playing Fortnite, but it has AI, and you pay money, and you can hire three other AI agents at your level to go in with you. So there's this whole separate mode where you've got people that have hired other AIs to fight with them. It's technically one on one, but everybody has these three other AIs. I think that that could go a long way to add funding for a lot of these development shops who are looking to capitalize on this additional growth and these AIs.
I love that. It looks like we have about 30 minutes left. Bryce, I'll throw it over to you to see what direction you want to take it from here.
Yeah, I actually want to play a little bit devil's advocate because we talk about all the cool things that AI has done. And of course, we've seen multiple gaming cycles, multiple crypto cycles. I want to get people's thoughts. How much of what we're seeing from AI in these early stages do we believe is just purely like, oh, well, like this is cool, but it's kind of just a Twitter chat bot that is just being fed tons of data of what's happening across crypto Twitter versus things that like can long term like have a huge impact. I want to get some thoughts on that because from my perspective, I love what we're seeing in terms of like AI 16Z and virtuals, and I've even thought about the idea of like creating an agent of my own. But part of me also looks at this and I'm like, man, how much of the industry of what we see in AI right now is more so just creating like a very rapid pace approach to something just because we see that there's money being speculated in the area. So I mean, I think Rens is a lot closer because they like you guys have recently like launched a token, but I'd love to get your thoughts on like how you see the market now and how much of AI do you feel like is like real legitimate stuff versus like just LARPing on the timeline for the sake of like financial gain.
Right now, I honestly think that that entire situation just allows for faster innovation and development, right? If suddenly everyone creates the same thing and then everyone's just randomly or LARPing on X, right? And someone comes along and tries to tackle the or everything that's actually wrong in that situation and then tells everyone that hey, there's actually a better way of doing it, and this is how, right? And then suddenly everyone now tries and break that down into how exactly that person did it, and it goes on about like okay, trying to improve theirs so that they can also, be different, right, against everyone. And so I think that kind of situation and the incentive actually adds like a lot of I would say motivation for people to keep on like building on that, and eventually it allows for more growth across everyone else, right? So um, yes, maybe like a lot of it is actually vaporware. A lot of it are actually like maybe masked or abstracted LLMs that everyone is just using. But if you think about it as well, right? At some point, maybe it's not just about like the product itself. Maybe it's also about how you package it. If you are able to create a product that can be more useful to everyone, just because the UI is much simpler, right? Or at least like the humor is just much better, right? Despite being the same thing, or despite like giving people like the same information, it gives off a generally different feel. And so I wouldn't like necessarily discount the fact that a lot of these things aren't exactly unique or aren't or doesn't really add anything to the table, because that actually forces us to forward or to drive forward. Although having said that, right, like everyone here also needs to be careful when it comes to randomly like aping into everything, right? Like something that might be cool just because we haven't encountered it like within our own bubbles or circles may not necessarily be really really groundbreaking, right? And that's a general risk that we all face like within this industry. But I would say like you know uh, uh, it also helps like in the general education that at least like people now slowly learn that these things exist, and if it amazes us, right, like eventually we treat it as like something that's common, and then we kind of like look for something else which promotes general growth.
Yeah, that's a great take. And I saw Costas, you actually joined us on stage. For those of you that don't know, Costas is a part of the research team at Game 7. He helps put together the Game 7 research report, which is a really comprehensive report on all three Web3 gamings. So he's pretty much like a walking gaming Wikipedia that we have in our company, which is amazing. Costas, I want to give you the opportunity to answer and rebuttal.
I would like to answer on this question and also very fast the previous question. I would like to echo what Bryce said previously. Basically, in terms of, because I am a very fanatic player of Fortnite that KT mentioned as well. Um, I would like to echo exactly what Bryce said in terms of the AI in the game. They basically Fortnite introduced AI in the lobbies like maybe 4 years ago, and ever since then, uh, no, winning in the game does not feel the same because it's much easier. And whenever you come across an AI player, it basically takes away any kind of tension, any kind of fun you're having in the game, because you just kill them and move on. And basically, the 100 player lobbies fell to like 60 to 50 player lobbies, and the rest are just AI, just a meat for the meat grinder, basically. So the only thing I would want to see there, there is a billion use cases for AI in games, but specifically there, we don't need like AI that are extremely difficult, but we do need AI that uh, imitate the way players, actual players, play and their level. So basically, what we would need in these lobbies is AI that mimics players. And since we are looking for the same level of players, if you are having AI that can imitate different levels of different skill levels of players, then just have that skill level of AI in your lobbies. It's time. Now to this question, the last one. There is gonna be a lot of noise and a lot of I mean, there is already a lot of use cases that aren't really gameplay focused or with a gamer in mind, or truly trying to um, better the way we play games and better the way um, we make games. Um, so the only thing I would ask of any game developer in this space and any gamer in this space, um, it's just focus on use cases that will truly improve gaming. Of course, there's gonna be speculative use cases, and that's where the most money are gonna be. That's the way of the world. But you know, just don't stray too much.
KT?
Yeah, talking about noise. Yeah, I do think, based on everything I've seen so far, there are a ton of people who are just building up those AIs to figure out where the money is right this second, so that they can get a piece of that. But talking about what Kostic just said, talking about finding things that people want. I was just thinking about this as we were talking, and we talk a lot about the gameplay aspect of AIs, but the communication aspect of the AI, just having somebody right there who's talking to you. I mean, imagine playing off the grid and you have an AI as part of your group who's based on Deadpool or Samuel L. Jackson or based on somebody else, Stitch, even. That's where the AI is based. The quality of the gameplay, even if you get destroyed in the game, I think it's going to be much better because you have that AI character based on somebody playing with you, who adds a whole lot of fun with taunts and jokes and shenanigans that might not be there right now.
Yeah, actually love that. It has a whole new element to it. So we actually have about 15 minutes left, and I know the title of the space is "Will AI Agents Start the Gaming Bull Run?" So I kind of want to talk about that for a little bit. I feel like AI agents have had this huge run. AI space is worth about 14 billion in general. The market has cooled off the last few days slash weeks, and it feels like gaming has been a bit of a lull. Is the next wave and the next wave of excitement for Web3 gaming specifically going to be the intersection of AI and gaming? I kind of want to throw that out as an open question. And what will get the narrative back to gaming? Because I feel like we've been off of it for a little bit for now. And what will cause it to go back?
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's interesting that you say that because to your point, like if you've been around, the past who knows, how many years, you've seen like it go from, play to earn, then it was like completely just very NFT focused. Then we got like a bear, then we got the heavy meme coin cycle. Now we're in like the meme coin, but entering like we've been in this AI cycle for like the last 5, 6 months. And throughout all of this, of course, like the cool thing has been gaming has continued to have builders and people who are looking to build dope things. But when you look at a lot of projects, especially with like the the value that is built on the infrastructure of virtuals and AI 16Z, AI to me feels like a kind of a expansion of meme coins in terms of for a lot of projects, it's like, okay, we have memes, but in a lot of cases, like you have like large language model that just went crazy. It's like it's technically AI, but it's technically a meme. And it's like when you look at it, it's like kind of like an expansion of memes. But in that same light, a lot of this stuff is very easy to ship. Not easy in terms of like, oh man, you look up and like, yeah, of course you can ship something very quickly, but it's very hard to ship a full product of a video game and really value something and like a game on chain when most of the people who are on chain and doing things are not, going to play the games or are buying it because of the game. So I do feel like gaming is still in a very weird spot and I'm not too sure if like AI is going to start a new run or if it really is just going to like be very game specific. Like we saw for a while, off the grid started getting some very good traction and it kind of like faltered out a bit. But the game is still building, they're still shipping things. And I don't know, I'm curious to see everyone else's thoughts, but I'm not really too sure if like I don't think that the agent meta is going to trickle into just gaming becoming this all-encompassing thing or this all-encompassing place that we wanted it to be when we saw, the 50 billion valuations from the play to earn days.
Yeah, I'm not sure who had their hand up, but go for it.
Yeah, I can hop in here. So I think things are going to change dramatically once people have unique use cases for the AI agents. And everyone's starting with the chat bots because it's experimental. They're just trying to wrap their heads around it. But like I've been playing around with an idea of maybe making an autonomous world and having the game master be an agent. And the game master will have the ability to mint their own tokens and give people quests within that world. So you accomplish something that I feel, I don't know, maybe I'll give you 3 gold for accomplishing that. So we're going to see it when it introduces completely unique mechanics. As of right now, we're just all testing it, getting our hands dirty. But there's a lot more it could do, especially when it engages with social media and it goes out to all these platforms and starts engaging with you outside of the game. It's going to be absolutely insane. But it's hard to actually envision it, right? Because all of us are just talking to these chatbots. But there's a lot to come.
Nice. Love the tech. KT, I saw your hand up. All right, I'll throw it over to Will and Costas then.
Want to go first, Will?
You go for it.
Okay. So it's definitely a narrative. Um, as many others that have come and go, mostly for Web3 gaming. Of course, I do think it's a much larger narrative. Will it start a complete like whole gaming era? I don't really know, but it's definitely. I do think it's gonna be part of the future of gaming in general. Um, so I don't really know the answer. I would go with no, but it will help significantly.
Out of curiosity, just to quickly follow up on that, what do you think would cause the initial excitement around gaming? Because I feel like once you have some initial traction, it just snowballs more and more. Is there something in the AI sector at all that kind of will influence that, in your opinion, or will it be something completely external, Costas?
I don't really think it's gonna be a single narrative. I think we just need to keep innovating, keep grinding, keep releasing better and better games. I think we have reached a level where a lot of the Web3 games are at the level of their Web2 counterparts. Not the best Web2 counterparts, but uh, the market level of games, of Web2 games. And I think we just have to keep finding ways uh, to make them even better for gamers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Back to basics. Big fun games that people will play it. Will, I'll throw it over to you. And then KT.
Hey, so yeah, I mean, generally for a bull run, right, you need a source of capital, and venture in games is really crippled right now, I would say. It's been a marked reduction in excitement and investment in video games in Web 2 and Web 3. But what we do see on the horizon is an opportunity for retail to start investing as new platforms like Echo and Legion and Binance's IDO platform produce opportunities for retail to start leading the charge on investment in games and other Web3 projects. And what may lead AI agents to running that bull market is their ability to persuade people to invest. Um, that would be, I think, a sort of scary SEC looking to regulate moment where you have AIs that are just training on what is the algorithm to get people to, spend their money on me in a sort of dystopian, paperclip maximizing way. And I think that could trigger a bull run, and that would be pretty interesting and scary. But otherwise, I don't see any immediate value add that would make uh, a sizable injection of capital come into crypto or gaming for that end.
And to Will's point, for anyone who have been following funding rounds in general, there was a big wave of VC capital for AI in gaming, not Web3 gaming, gaming in general. Um, this past year, early 2024, late 2023, perhaps. So, how much more, the VC capital can really get excited about the AI narrative in gaming? That's the question. It's not that new of a narrative, basically, at least not in gaming. In Web3 gaming, yeah, it's more fresh, perhaps.
KT?
So I don't think the AI in game is going to have much impact, like most people have said. I think the AI is going to have a dramatic impact on the development of games. I know that there's several different AI models out there that are wrapped around game development. What that does is that enables the small shops, the creatives who don't have a whole lot of capital, a whole lot of time, a whole lot of resources. It'll allow them to use the AI to scaffold their game, to rough it out, to give them the baseline that they can then go into and perfect the way they want that game. And as far as Web3 goes, with the advent of chains like Sui that's really fast and really, really cheap, I think that once those AI developed games or assisted games start rolling out, especially fast casual type stuff, I think that you're going to see a lot more adoption of crypto from folks who are looking for to spend a dollar or two on a cool game on their phone that somebody wrote in their living room instead of these massive AAA games that we see lots of PR for, but it takes a long time to get them built properly. That's where I see a lot of things coming up in the near future is the AI assist build games.
Yep, I love that, and I agree. Bryce, I want to throw it over to you to get your opinion, and then we have about 6 minutes left. Maybe we can close out after that.
Yeah, I agree with KT. So I've actually seen, like, maybe it was like 5 6 months ago, a couple of different companies on the timeline that were like building they were building platforms where like AI could generate assets in Unreal Engine, or it could generate like game assets, whether it was like entire maps and entire environments, whether it's for like, multiplayer FPS games, or, like creating entire maps for MMOs, where it's like you would normally have to get a designer and then, like, get it rigged and do a whole bunch of stuff to actually get it to like where you have a map and are able to do things. But you can do this in like seconds with AI, based on like kind of the characteristics and thought processes that you want a given map or mode or things to look like. So I do think that there are a lot of teams in the traditional Web 2 space that are focusing on it. I haven't seen any in Web 3 that are like, hey, we're creating like AI that can auto generate, stages, levels. But I actually thought that was super interesting, because it goes into the whole mindset of like, you could technically get it to the point where once you have, set assets and things, no two players ever generate the same game experience, just because you could use AI to change each experience every single time. So you and I might play the same stage of a platformer, but it looks completely different, even though the difficulty of getting through the stage would be the same difficulty. So I think that's like a very interesting potential use case for AI as like a gaming infrastructure as a service play. Because I do think that, for example, when you look at games like Only Up, right? Game that launched, it made like a solo dev, like high school kid made it. He makes 5 million in like a couple of months creating a game like that. But to be completely honest, it wasn't like an insanely difficult game. If you just look at the core mechanics of it, it's not an insanely difficult game to make. And you could see a lot of stuff like that being created like very quickly, especially in, to the point of the hyper casual and like these light games, where in the world of like big game development, yeah, it takes tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you get to the end of the stage and you hope someone likes your product, but good luck with that. um, a lot of these smaller indie devs is are able to be more nimble, and a lot of game studios that are like not large and have crazy amounts of investment capital have leaned into the more casual, like building small games that you can beat within an hour, 2 hours, because you can create so many experiences and generate consistent revenue, versus hoping that you can build something that's going to be able to compete with Call of Duty, Valorant, Counter Strike from a live ops perspective. So I think AI as like an infrastructure to build games could potentially even level the playing field for people who are not native game developers, but have really cool and interesting ideas and want to get out, simple MVPs for people to test out. So I think like the same way we see like a cursor making it very easy to do like, web development, I think we'll see a lot more in the game development space.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's just so much going on in this space, and I don't know if you all saw, Virtuals and Animoca just this morning announced a joint venture to invest and accelerate the next generation of projects through AI. So it's clear it's here to stay, and it feels like every week we're just going to have more and more news, and it's going to be a snowball effect of how important AI is in gaming. But we're almost at time, and I want to thank everyone for joining in today. Thank you to all the speakers. The plan is to do this every other week, and we're going to keep it really chill, keep it very open ended. We want people to just come on stage and hang out with us. So we want to talk and chat. So thanks again for joining today. And we'll be back in about 2 weeks. And until then, stay well. Talk soon.